And welcome back. This is Brian, also known as Upstart Madhawk. We are playing again BattleTech. Alright. So let's start looking. We are on the Leopard. Let's see. Captain's quarters, customized company. Let's see. I like that one. Let's see. So yeah, you can customize your company. You can change the name. You can change the colors. Let's see what we got. You know what? Let's see. Primary color should be green, I think. Make it green. Secondary, kind of a Steiner look to it. Should be like that. Should I do it like this? Yeah, I think I'm gonna go like that. Kind of crest should I have? That one looks pretty good. I like Madhawk's Marauders, but I was thinking maybe Rangers? I mean, I could change it later, I think. But maybe. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. Now that's done. Let's see, what else we got? We got Mech Bay, Navigation, Barracks, Command Center, Contracts. Heard. And need to make any repairs. There's Yang.
Anything I can do?
Yang Vertanen. Hey, yeah, boss. Welcome to the Mech Bay, my own little piece of heaven right here on the ship. Something I can help you with? One assessment on the Leopard. How much trouble are we in? Don't know. I mean, we're doing okay for the moment. We give it a few months, maybe a year. You know how it goes. Eventually, everything falls apart. Maybe our drive system will give out. Maybe some debris will perforate the hull. Who knows? But on that day, we're going to need to be able to cover our repair costs. But if we can't, well, that'll be that. Got a few questions about you. Yeah, then hit me with them. I'll do what I can to answer. I mean, I don't want to wax poetic or nothing, but the Mech Bay is where the magic happens, boss. It's the beating heart of the mercenary outfit. Okay, anything I should know about the Mech Bays themselves? Beyond each cubicle holding one battle mech, not much. It's all about capacity. The more mech bays we have, the more mechs we can keep battle ready. And the more mechs we have battle ready, the more flexibility you have in your deployment options. Okay, storage. Why use mech storage? A few reasons. First, we have limited capacity in the mech bay, so we need to store the overstock for eventual sale or for use in the future. Second, we don't pay upkeep costs on mechs and storage. That's the business thing, though not my department. Third, and this is the most important, whenever we pick up partial mech salvage from the battlefield, I put it in storage for you. If we gather or buy enough partial mech salvage to complete a battle mech chassis, my team will assemble it right away. You let me know if you want to keep it in storage or have it ready for combat. Battle mechs are expensive as hell, so assembling one out of salvage is our best bet for expanding our roster. What happens when a mech goes into or gets readied from storage? When you send a mech chassis into storage, our mech techs dismount all of its weapons and equipment and place them in your inventory for use on other chassis. The chassis can stay in storage indefinitely, and don't worry about storage capacity, boss. I'll make it fit, don't you worry. Let me ask you something else. Let's see. Mech components. I've been wondering about the components you can put on your mechs. One of my favorite topics in the mech bay. If you want to browse all the equipment we have available in the inventory, there are two types of components I can install on the battle mech: weapons and equipment. Tell me about ballistics. Ballistics such as auto cannon pack a good punch, generate a little heat, and can destabilize an enemy if they hit enough. But ballistic weapons are, ballistic, so require ammo. Ammo can explode if it takes a hit in combat. Bad news all around. Are also pretty heavy and can take up a lot of space on a mech. Strengths and weaknesses, boss. Strengths and weaknesses. We know energy weapons and missile weapons more than I do. Energy weapons don't use any ammo, but they generate a lot of heat. You may need to invest in a lot of heat sinks to keep your mechs cool if you choose an energy heavy loadout. Missile weapons. Missiles are my favorites. Yeah, they require ammo and generate moderate heat, but the pounding they deliver can destabilize an enemy faster than most other weapons. And having multiple projectiles in a shot means you're almost always going to guarantee at least a single hit. Long-range weapon missiles are capable of indirect fire. If one of your units has a line of sight on an enemy, it can act as a spotter for LRM-equipped units that don't. With Spotter, a mech equipped with LRMs can stay behind cover and arc its missiles to hit the enemy. The Spotter can increase your launcher's effective range too. Granted, the enemy can do the same to you, and that's someone else's problem. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, we'll taste that. Support weapons are lighter than the others. Small lasers, machine guns, that kind of thing. I programmed our targeting computers to automatically fire them after a melee attack if they're activated. Tell me about the other types of equipment you can refit on a battle mech. It's a big list, boss. It's just check and store every system we travel to. You never know what you'll find. I install stronger cockpits to reduce the injuries the mech warriors take. Arm actuators that increase melee damage. Rangefinders that increase the range at which enemies can be visually acquired. All sorts of stuff. All take up critical slots on a battle mech. Some may add weight too. Keep your eyes open for them and give them a good once over before you buy one, so you know that what you're getting into. Now, putting powerful weapons and equipment on your mechs is fine and all, but remember, the trade-off is always armor. You know how they say, the best defense is a strong offense. Yep. Some manufacturers have developed better. True that. Different manufacturers tweak their weapons to deliver more damage, have higher accuracy to stabilize the enemy, a bunch of stuff. The trick is finding them. They're rare in the periphery, so when I see one in a store or a salvage pile, I always mark it with a plus for you, so you can identify it easily. Okay. So that's pretty much that for that, you know. That's enough for the tutorials for now. Okay, let's see. So how'd you wind up with the crew? That's a long story, boss. Shortest version I can give you. I signed on after I served my term in the Third Succession War, fighting for the Capellan Confederation. Commie. If you want to know more, you can ask whatever you want. Otherwise, let's get back to talking shop. Where are you from originally? Bryant, in the Confederation. You may have heard of our claim to fame, the Crowley Lizard Cow. No, well, trust me, they were delicious. Anyway, as the story goes, Bryant was a really nice place once. A tourist spot, big with hikers and fishing enthusiasts. Pale blue skies, emerald green seas, and booming agricultural business. You know, the works. I never knew it that way, though. Stefan Amaris got to it a couple of centuries before I was born, and well, that was that. The story goes, Brian used to have these enormous orbital mirrors, storm inhibitors they called them. The Star League put them in place. When Amaris took the system in his civil war, he and his troops used them for target practice. Without those mirrors, Bryant reverted to its natural state, a miserable little ball of wind-blown dirt, actively hostile to human life. By the time I came along, the only place where people could live in relative safety were the planet's poles. Of course, if you can't fit a planet's entire population into a handful of cities or its poles, there isn't enough space, no matter how far down you dig or how tall you build. A lot of people, mostly the poor, died in the early days. There's still a lot of overcrowding in Bryant's cities even now. That's my childhood home in a nutshell. Way too many people jammed into a tiny claustrophobic space with nowhere to go but off-planet. I cleared out of there as fast as I could and never looked back. Gotta admit though, I do miss the taste of lizard cow. Who'd you serve with? The 2nd St. Ives Lancers. The 1st Battalion, under Major Ling, we saw more action than most. The aim is a souvenir of my time in the service. I lost the original back in 3010 on St. Louis. Oh, the arm, sorry. You know, when we first arrived at St. Louis, I loved the place. It's an agricultural world. Sort of a breadbasket for neighboring systems. Green fields, rolling hills, you get the picture. We just walked out of hell on Kittery. The Fed rats drove us out in 05 with our tails between our legs, so it took some paradise, it looked like paradise to us. Fed rats. I remember kicking back in the mech bay, my feet propped up on a engine block, sipping on a snifter of Ambergris Vermouth. Not a bad way to spend a sunny afternoon. Anyway, it turned out the Federated Suns weren't done with us yet. We were barely a month into our deployment when they sent the SETI Hussars to burn us out. I'm sure that there were sound strategic reasons for House Davian to want St. Louis, but it sure felt personal to me. Long story short, one of our scouts managed to slip through our perimeter and hit my mech bay. I was tinkering around in Centurion's custom-made rumble seats at the time, being surrounded by all that armor is the only reason I made it out alive. Still, I didn't make it out unscathed. I lost two of my favorite assistants and my own right arm. And I've got this ugly thing grafted onto me as a reminder. Looks nice. Why'd you leave? After my tour of duty was up, you mean? I don't know. It was just time for a change. Besides, the place wasn't for me anymore. In a way, it never really was. Yeah, good choice. For what it's worth, I'm glad that you made that choice. You brought my mech back from the brink more than once. Way more than once, if memory serves. Still, I appreciate the kind words, and for that, it's worth. I'm happy to be here, and this crew. Going career military would have been an enormous mistake. You'll never really get away from the aristocracy. Yang, hell, I was born a noble. Yeah, but you're a competent noble, and you aren't afraid to get your hands dirty. At the end of the day, that's all I really care about. I wonder how many times I watched talented engineers get passed over for a promotion so some idiot with a title could advance. Too many to count. In your position, I probably would have done the same. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something else. I gotta get back to it. Talk to you later, Yang.
I'll be here if you need anything.
Let's see here. We got bays 1, 2, and 3 requires an upgrade. Storage. Components. And how many that I got? Okay, well, this is my blackjack. Compare it. I think everything's good on it as far as the weapons go. Cost 10,500. Take 5 days. Yeah. Vindicator. Slots. Martel. Takes 7 days. Sure. Say scrap from evils. Send this one to storage. Remove all report. Let's refit. Let's see. Okay, so how can I tell? 20 tons, 0 tons remaining. Repair all. Strip equip. Strip armor. Max armor. I wonder. Let's see. Oh well. Let's see. Medium lizards. I should have 2 of them. well, I tried. It's ammo. You really can't put anything on this one, huh? Well, let's see here. It's these two. Machine gun, where are you at? Oh, there you go. Oh, okay, there we go. Two medium lasers. Four. Yeah, 4 jump jets.
New equipment available.
How's that? Okay.
On it. I'll let you know when that's done.
I can get a mech warrior because I lost Decker. So we got
Waiting
Glitch,
on you, Commander.
Good to go.
Medusa. Really, Medusa? Customize. Can't be customized.
Good to go. Commander?
What do you need?
Travels prospect your parents or
Waiting for orders.
she has good gunnery skills though. So those are my mech warriors right now.
You got questions? I have answers.
CO Ops Maxwell, can I do something for you? I got some questions about running this company. Remind me what I need to know about mercenary contracts. Outfits like ours depend on the Mercenary Review Board to post certified contracts working for reliable employers. I say reliable, but let's face it, Maxwell, most jobs come down to us doing the work that the rich and powerful can't be seen doing. Mercenaries are deniable assets. We travel from system to system, picking up jobs and making ends meet. Sure, space travel costs sea bills, but some employers are desperate enough to pay travel expenses for mercenaries willing to make a few jumps for a gig. And those are my type of employers. What intel will I get about a contract before I accept it? Most employers will give us enough info to understand who we're fighting and why. Some are cagier than others, but by and large, they want us to succeed. Because of this, we generally get enough intel to get the job done. It isn't a perfect system, but it works well enough. There are a few key things to look for in a contract. First, you need to understand what type of mission it is. Next, you need to take account of the climate conditions in the area of operation. Finally, it is important to know the expected strength of the opposing force or op for. Vital, even. Climate conditions. If you're not watching the climate conditions, you're not in full command of the battlefield. In most environments, you've got to watch your mech warriors' weapon fire and jump jet use so they don't overheat their battle mechs. Badlands and deserts make your mechs run hotter, so you're going to want to pay careful attention when you're fighting there. Figure that. Low atmosphere, non-terraformed planets are worse. You'd be wise to swap out some energy weapons for ballistic weapons in those environments, or pack on some extra heat sinks. The vacuum of lunar environments is the worst. It's counterintuitive, I know. Space is cold, right? But no atmosphere means basically no heat dispersion. And you're sitting on top of a fusion reactor. Use your jump jets sparingly, or you'll be shut down in no time. Yeah. Mission difficulty. It's important to have an idea of what you'll be up against once your lance hits the ground. Unfortunately, mercenaries are often on the ass end of mission intel, and the most we'll usually get is a rating of the enemy's overall strength. At best, the mission's difficulty rating will give us the idea of our post-mission repair bills and med bay time, or a signal that we should avoid the mission altogether until we bring bigger guns. Okay. What type of missions may be offered? In my experience, most contracts come down to one or more of a few basic ideas: blowing something up, taking someone down, keeping something safe, or making a mess with heavy ordnance. There'll be variations here and there, sure, but for the most part, our jobs are going to fit into one of these categories. Giant bipedal weapon platforms aren't exactly known for their subtlety. Take a back second. Yeah, Mad Hawk? Of course. This can be a lot to take in, I know. We can go back and forth as many times as you need to. You just say the word. Tell me about reputation. A mercenary outfit's reputation determines the quality of the contracts we're offered, the quality of the mech warriors willing to hire on with us, and the deals we get on weapons, mechs, and equipment in local stores. Most employers won't offer us the really juicy contracts until we've proven ourselves over time. But once our rep is solid, we'll get access to some high-paying gigs with opportunities for some serious battlefield salvage. Can I withdraw from contract? Absolutely. That's the great thing about being a merc. It isn't our fight, and we're here to make money, not die for a cause. You can back out of contract negotiations at any time with no harm done. But once we deploy onto the battlefield, it gets a little trickier. If things start going sideways during mission, you can still withdraw to save on repair bills and med bay time, but it may still cost us. If we withdraw before achieving any objectives and destroying at least one enemy, the Mercenary Review Board will rule it a bad faith withdrawal. Not only will we not get paid, we won't get any battlefield salvage either. Plus, our reputation will suffer, both with our employer and with the MRB. Now, if we withdraw after achieving an objective and destroying at least one enemy, then the board will rule it a good faith withdrawal. Our pay will still be reduced, but our reputation won't take a hit, and that's important for business. One last thing on the subject: if one of your mechs is getting banged up bad, and it looks like a mech warrior may not make it out alive, you can order them to eject during combat. Sumeyer will fly suborbital and recover them, and will scoop up their mech after the mission. Salvage. Why is it so important? If sea bills are like blood, salvage is like food for a mercenary company, or something like that. I don't really do analogies. So let's just leave it at that. Salvage is good. Here's why. Salvage lets you replace components you've lost or upgrade your mechs to better suit your combat tactics. And if you don't end up needing the salvage you get, you can always sell it off at the nearest store. Salvage rights are at a time-honored tradition in the mercenary trade. Figuring out who gets what at the end of an engagement is a vital part of our business. How can I negotiate a contract? Mercenary contract negotiating is pretty straightforward. Out here in the periphery, it's all based on the golden triangle: sea bills, salvage, and reputation. Sea bills are the coin of the realm, so to speak. We use sea bills to pay for travel expenses, upkeep on our ship, salaries for our crew, and repairs or refits for our mechs. Sea bills keep us flying. I'd like to ask you about something else. Okay, so that was contracts. There's finances and mech warriors events. Is there any general info you'd like to share? Things happen on a mercenary ship, Maxwell, all the time. You throw a bunch of mech jockeys in confined space with technicians and crew for months on end, you're going to see some spillover from the battlefield. And operating a merc outfit isn't a glamorous lifestyle. There are hard choices to be made on a regular basis. Anything from breaking up a fight over petty bullshit to dealing with faulty power couplings. Outfits finances, how does it work? It's pretty simple, really. Every 30 days we have to pay the crew and cover our regular operating expenses, upkeep for the mechs we have already, and our mech bays, upgrades to our equipment, things like that. So if we don't have enough sea bills to cover our operating costs at the end of the month, when our financial report comes due, we're out of business. Merc life, it doesn't allow for second chances. Remember that when you're ordering weapon refits and ship upgrades. Make sure to reserve enough to cover our monthly nut. Let's see here. I'm sure this is obvious, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How do we raise the operating costs for our company? Obviously, the more mech warriors we hire, the more we're going to get paid each month. Nevertheless, it's a good idea to have a strong bench. You never know when someone's going to take one in the meat and one out of the action for a while. How can I lower our operating costs? Well, for starters, consider putting the mechs you don't plan to field for a while into storage. Although it will require time and C-bills to refit their equipment and ready them for combat, stored mechs have no upkeep costs. By the way, remember that you can sell mechs, chassis, and equipment if we're ever low on cash or you just need to see something shiny in the store that you've just got to have. Let's see. Something else. Mech Warriors. What would you like to know? Let's see. You can ask him later, right? As an instruction for one day, Darius, thanks. Got a few minutes to chat? I'd like to catch up? Yeah, sure, I've got time to talk. Before any of this started, you worked at the Arano Royal Guard. Tell me about it. It was more than just a deployment, it was a full campaign. High Lord Tamati gave us the job back in 19. We were supposed to be assisting the Royal Guard to round up and eliminate a pirate clan on Fajardo. Compelling colony world, best lost in succession wars is bleak ice planet except constantly by howling winds and blowing snow. Largely got underground buildings. Okay, so Commander Markham thought it would be easy money and turned out to be anything but. We lost a dozen mech warriors in the last 3 months of the Fajard campaign. Had to hose them out of their cockpits. Would have been more if it wasn't for Saraju. He saved our people's asses on more than one occasion. Went out of his way to do it. And the thing is, he didn't have to. We weren't under his protection. We were the hired help. A lot of people in Mastiff's position would have used us as cannon fodder, but that wasn't his way. He treated us as if we were his own men. He was a good man, Maxwell, as good as they come. See? A little about you. Where are you from? I grew up on Nassau Heights. It's one of the HAB stations orbiting Arturu. 30 decks of economic stratification with the corporate suits on the upper decks and everyone else crammed into the lower ones. My old man was a dockhand. We lived on deck 28, 2 levels up from the bottom. The other station maintenance personnel. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. My dad would load and unload cargo shuttles, vacuum-seated Quillar. Is that right? Quillar. And nutrient paste for people like us, and luxury goods for the suits upstairs. The old man must have unloaded 1,000 cases of Casilodon, eel roe, plump, succulent eggs the size of melon balls. Never got to taste any, though. Any one of those tins would have cost him a year and a half's wage. Anyway, Maxwell, I don't want to saddle you down with my life story. Suffice it to say that I got an eyeful of what I didn't want to be on Nassau Heights. I did what I had to do to change my circumstances. By the age of 16, I struck out on my own. I left the station with a handful of skills, an enormous web of contracts, and a rucksack full of that expensive Kevlar. And once I made it off Nassau Heights, I never ever looked back. Okay. Gotta run.
You know where to find me.
Sunmar.
How can I be of service, Commander?
Sumar Mayor. Hey, Commander. Something I can do for you? The decision we made about uncertified contracts satisfy your concerns? My concerns won't be satisfied until our creditors have been paid and the loan sharks are off our backs. But this is a step in the right direction. That makes me happy. I'm not blind to the risks that uncertified contracts entail, by the way. I mean, I know that what we're doing is dangerous, but it's the best chance we've got to dig ourselves out of this hole. I got some questions about navigation. I mean, it's kind of important that you understand what we're doing, and so if I can help with that, I'm all for it. Okay, navigator, how do we get from system to system? The short answer is that you pick a destination on a star map, make it happen. Interstellar travel takes time, sometimes weeks, and it'll cost us sea bills for fuel and passage on a jump ship. But it's the only way for an outfit like ours to survive out here. We go where the work is. What intel can we get? Enough to make a reasonably informed choice, I think. The star map makes political boundaries clear, so you'll know whose space we're entering. I've reprogrammed the star map to lock out travel to systems designated as no-fly zones. We're looking for work, not an interstellar incident. Beyond political boundaries, the nav system will highlight political factions active in the system. That should give you a good idea of who's hiring. It's probably a good idea to check our reputation with the local factions for ordering a long voyage. There's got to be more intel than just politics. There is. As you select systems on the star map, you'll see that a list of attributes that the Mercanet database associates with them. Attributes like black market or poor are clues to local store contents, the type of mercs we'll find in hiring halls, contracts we may be offered, and potential mission environments. If you hover over an attribute, the star map will display the longer description for you. Let's see here. Space travel. I know it all. Well, the long answer is that there's two types of space travel. Travel by drop ships like ours and travel by jump ships. Drop ships travel from under 1G of thrust to move from a planet's orbit to a jump point. Jump points are far outside the gravity well of the star, and so travel to and from a jump point takes most of our travel time, sometimes weeks. Jump ships, on the other hand, are like ferries. They just sit at a jump point waiting for folks like us to latch onto their docking collar. Then we wait there for about 5 days while they spin up their jump drive. Once the jump drive is spun up, hopping a dozen light years across interstellar space to another jump point takes nearly no time at all. I've heard about pirate points that jump ship can use. What are those? They're bad news, Commander. Difficult to locate and dangerous to use. I've heard of people using pirate points in desperate situations or on covert missions, but it's not worth the risk of a misjump. You won't find any pirate points on any star map, I can tell you that. Let's just avoid them. And we already know that you don't always have to pay. So, stores and hiring hall, what can I do for orbiting? Beyond negotiating a contract, most inhabited systems maintain a hiring hall where we can recruit new mech warriors. Be sure to take a look. You never know what kind of talent you're looking to find. Most systems also have merchants who can buy and sell hardware such as weapons, equipment, and mech parts. Sometimes even fully operational Valmix too. That's all for now. Thanks. Telling stories about the crew. Tell me something about yourself. Well, I'm from a noble family like you. We're old money. Made our fortune out in Rashigal, then repatriated to the Taurian Concordate. That's where I grew up. I'm not sure if this is the kind of stuff you were hoping to hear, but we can talk about whatever. I'm not shy. Where in the Concordat are you from? I grew up on the New Vandenberg. It's a nice enough place, I suppose. Do you like birds? Why do you ask? Because New Vandenberg is crawling with them. It's basically one big aviary. Something like 2/3 of the native fauna has feathers, flutters on the wind, and splatters its excrement across every available surface. And I do like birds, by the way. Cute. Naturally, the original colonists adapted to the feathery little monsters into the culture, and those of us that came after were kind of stuck with it. Statues, fountains, murals, you name it. Just a giant feathery pile of screeching alien birds. If the system had a motto, it'd be squawk. Maybe if I hadn't grown up with it. Where'd you learn to pilot a Leopard anyway? The Torian Naval Institute on New Vandenberg, well, among other places, is a big campus. The low-gravity training station orbiting Lompoc was my second home for a time. T&I flight training isn't usually open to civilians, but my parents had good credit back then, and they could name-drop Protector Calderon. That would get pretty far in the Concordat, for a while anyway. The other cadets in my class weren't especially happy sharing air with a civvy, but they couldn't say much. I was nobility and they weren't. Everyone else sort of kept me at arm's length, so I had plenty of time to concentrate on my studies. I got my certificate in both jump ship and drop ship operation 4 years. I even tried working on a commercial jump crew for a while once upon a time. People were fun, but it wasn't for me. The ratio of flying to violent jump sickness skewed hard in the wrong direction. What can you tell them about House Mayer? You're looking at. My parents are both gone, blood cancer and heart disease respectively, both treatable, but they were out of money at that point, so into the ground they went. Ditto my brother David, who ran off to serve in the Third Succession War and never came back. No stranger to loss myself. Yeah, I'm sure you're not. Nobody is, really. It's a rough galaxy. No guts, no galaxy, right? David was 13 years older than me, and he had a foot out on the door before I turned 3. And my parents, well, they raised me by proxy, in the traditional noble fashion. There was no real bond there, even when I was young. None of this is to say that my folks were bad people. They weren't. They were just doing what they knew. Their upbringings had been outsourced, just like mine was. Anyway, that's all I got to say about my family. They're gone, and I'm here. The end. So, you want another question, or should I get back to our duties? Your family came from Rashigal? It was a long time ago, but yeah, as my parents told it, we were landowners on Pomme de Terre. It's an agricultural world, sort of the breadbasket of the Draconis Combine. Yeah, that's right. Rashigal was part of the Draconis Combine. The Drax. But the Rashigal is more of a Norwegian, Scandinavian offshoot. And yes, I know that Pomme de Terre means potato. My ancestors came from the planet Potato. It took some time for me to accept that, but hey, here we are. Anyway, moving on. House of Mayer's holdings were meager, but the value of that land was astronomical. For minor nobility, we were really very wealthy. And then the Third Succession War broke out, and the political rhetoric got ugly. House Mayer didn't want a single part of what was happening, and so my ancestors emptied their accounts and ran. As a rule, House Kurita takes a really dim view of nobles who cut and run. Words like traitor and defector start getting thrown around. In the Combine, you really don't want to be on the receiving end of allegations like that. I wouldn't be standing here today if House Calderon hadn't granted my ancestors asylum in the Concorde. In all likelihood, House Mayor would have been wiped out before I was even born. Talk to you
I'll be
later.
here if you need me.
I think that's all of them. Check out the hiring hall.
Waiting for orders.
Ready for orders.
Ready for orders. Yes, Commander.
So yeah, a lot of good ones. But I guess we'll end it here. I'll see you in the next video. We're going to get a contract signed and we're going to go on a mission. Ah yes, very good. See you guys later. Peace.